Hey guys, welcome back to Contest Prep University. I'm Joe Klemczewski with Adam Atkinson, episode 4 in our series on pumping up. We're going to talk about the different divisions and nuances you may need to employ based on what you're actually doing there at the show, just for your own body and needs, but also those division criteria. So I mentioned a couple episodes ago, Adam, the difference in bodybuilders who really do want to, create some blood volume in a muscle and therefore, maybe make their lats look fuller and so forth. Are there divisions like bikini or figure where you say, oh my gosh, do not touch that body part? Like this is what we need for this division.
Yeah, I have a girl who we cannot touch her shoulders backstage at all for her bikini. I actually have a men's physique pro who they say do not do anything more to your shoulders. So
Just because it's already so dominant, these are competitors who are just huge.
yeah, already so dominant. So we usually spend more time working on his lats, creating some more width to make his waist look smaller. So that, on that pro level, it really does become so finite at that level. And then when you're in the amateurs, you may run into situations like this. And I have where, a lot of times in bikini, they just do not want their shoulders too big. Or on the other hand, some girls are not very dominant in that area. And that's a big focus for our pump up. And, I've even had girls who have really big glutes, maybe almost too big due to symmetry on their body, where I say don't pump your glutes at all, try to get your shoulders to match your lower. So it really can depend.
Well, it's interesting you brought up glutes there, because that's a topic I was going to go right into. Because even, you have mentioned in this series that, you typically don't want to do anything for legs. I've had competitors who have pretty small quads, just genetically, they have very long vastus lateralis tendons and so forth, and just have a hard time getting, size in their quads. And, just like any other muscle group, for you to get some blood flow in there, if you've been careful with your peaking and, perhaps laying down once in a while throughout the morning, so you're getting some of that lymphatic drainage back in your vascular system, I don't think there's any problem. If you did 10 sets of squats, going up to 300 pounds, maybe. But I really don't see much of a problem with that. I think that's just one of those myths that people, like we talked about in another context, you get your photos back from the stage and you think your quads weren't sharp enough and you say, oh shit, it's because I pumped them up. It's like, no, it's just because you weren't lean enough. But even for glutes, now that everybody is training glutes 4 to 6 times a week, AKA Brett Contreras, do you have women doing things backstage with bands just to get volume in their glutes?
I do. And like you said, a light amount of legs, I don't think is a problem. And yeah, I definitely do have girls doing some kickbacks, some lateral steps, things of that nature. I don't necessarily have them laying on the floor and doing hip thrusts or, frog pumps, but we'll go into that on the probably next part of this lesson. But yeah, essentially, we really do train the glutes, pretty extensively back there. I would say shoulders and glutes are a big primary for bikini, maybe even lats to create that V taper, just depending on what the person's initially bringing.
Whenever I do a lecture on contest prep and peaking specifically, I have a lot of photos over the last 25 years, obviously, of clients. So I have a lot to draw from. But one in particular, I had a client who's a pretty small pro women's bodybuilder. And I had a back double bicep photo of her, just kind of out of bed, cold and not really pumped up. And then after just a few hours and 2 or 3 meals of food and hydration, another one. And you immediately notice the size of the lats and the shoulders. But it's when you look down, you can say, holy shit, like her glutes and even hamstrings look twice as big. And I always relate that to hydration, because without hydrating properly on contest day, you're never going to get that muscle volume. But I think to that point, as we've talked about from the first episode of the series on, the sodium, the minerals, the hydration and so forth, like all of that has to be there for you to even have any blood movement and volume to pump up with. So I think that's just an important thing, for people to kind of get away from those maybe myths of, don't do this, don't do that, but you really do anything that you want more size in to create your best symmetry. You want to do a little work back there backstage.
Absolutely.
All right, guys, well, stay tuned for our last episode. We're going to talk about all of the details now, pulling it together in this series on pumping up. We'll see you next time in Contest Prep University.